So this certainly is not the topic that I thought we'd be going over when it comes to this player, but when it comes to Carolina Hurricanes recently re-signed forward Martin Necas, there was an interview that he had with the media that ended up going over his thoughts about a trade to the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, they say that Montreal is one of the big hockey meccas in the entire community, how this team finds themselves ways to get involved in every conversation under the sun. Yeah, Montreal's like that. Toronto is like that. You could say, to an extent, Vancouver is like that. How can we make this about our team? Well, sometimes the players and the stories write themselves. Sometimes they do the work for us, because today, this interview from Martin Necas, which was posted onto TVA Sports, does go out there and give his thoughts as to the idea of a Montreal trade. So without further ado, I'll leave a link in the description to this article from TVA from earlier yesterday. Yes, I've heard a lot about Montreal, Martin Necas says. Articles in French, translated into English, and if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan going out there, please don't crucify me. This is your guy. I know, I'm trying to keep my hands to myself here, but these comments were very interesting. So, let's go out there and read how Nicolas Cloutier opens up the article. While just about everybody saw him getting traded this summer, and despite all that has been said about his future with the Carolina Hurricanes, Martin Necas seems sincere when he says he is excited to return to Raleigh next season. Still, we feel that he would have welcomed a trade, sending him to the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, okay, that's what a way to open the article. Yeah, he re-signed. Yeah, he's staying in Carolina, but he probably would have liked to trade to Montreal, right? Either way, I digress. Continuing on with the piece here, with a sports shirt on his back, a chain around his neck, a black ring on one finger, Martin Necas spoke to TVA Sports in an alley in the Czech Republic with his face covered in sweat. Were we interrupting his training? Who knows? The main person concerned was in a good frame of mind for the upcoming season. He was well aware about the persistent rumors that linked him to the Montreal Canadiens over the summer. Now, yeah, you can see the interview. He's got his AirPods in, he's got the mic, he's got the chain. Interesting way for him to do an interview right there in the middle of a road, but TVA got the scoop, and this is what Martin Necas said in regards to the trade rumors to Montreal. Yes, I heard a lot about Montreal, he admitted. I think there were discussions between the two teams. Visits to the Quebec metropolis, have always pleased him since his arrival in the NHL. Montreal is one of the greatest teams in the NHL, Necas said. You see the passion of the fans. I've seen a lot of rumors, but I'm staying here in Carolina. I have to say that the Bell Center is one of my favorite arenas. It's always loud, and the ice is excellent. You know, the ice is not beautiful in all arenas, especially where it's hot. And this is, like, so strange, you know? You always hear players butter up opposing buildings and opposing teams, like, oh yeah, they're a good team, their arena's fun to play in, nice city, etc., etc., but it's like, usually you see that happen when a player gets traded to a team, not when a player doesn't get traded to a team, and when he gets asked about, hey, what would have been like if you got traded to this team? It's so interesting how even TVA Sports, of all people, were going out there and interviewing Martin Necas and asking him about the Habs. And for Necas to even entertain the conversation and be like, yeah, I mean, I like Montreal, I've heard a lot about it, they probably discussed trading for me, and they're one of the greatest teams in the NHL. Is that not, like, uncharted territory? I feel so bizarre reading that. From this, we could assume that if Martin Necas was traded to the Montreal Canadiens, he probably would have liked it. And when you think about the what-ifs, you know, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas of the world, you think about what the Canadiens team could have looked like if they had just, I don't know, they made the Necas trade, if they made the Laine trade on top of that, a top six of Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and then you have Laine, Necas, and Doc on the second line, move Newhook to the third line, have him with Gallagher and Anderson or whomever, Josh Waugh, excuse me. That would have been crazy. Just think of the possibilities. The Montreal Canadiens might have been, like, one of the better top sixes in the NHL if they had that. I mean, what do you call a group of six, right? A 5 is a quintuplet, a 6 is a hextuplet? Not too sure on my geometry there, but that top 6, Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Laine, Necas, and Doc. Oh boy. The top-tier talent just keeps on coming, but of course, though, Necas, even though he said he is fine with staying in Carolina and he's okay with, you know, re-signing there and having to fix out the warts that had established themselves in that relationship over the past year, even though he's all good with that, I still think that the Montreal angle is something that he would have been okay with as well. Let's go out there and finish off this interview because Necas does go out there and talk more so about the Carolina Hurricanes and how, even against all odds, Necas and the Canes managed to salvage their relationship. It wasn't always easy between Necas and head coach Rod Brind'Amour last season. While the two men always had a good relationship off the ice, their differences in opinions about how hockey should be played sometimes seemed irreconcilable. I have to give him more of what he wants, and in return, he will give me the freedom I need to play my style of play, Necas said, ready to compromise. Last season was not fantastic for both of us, let's say. Before extending my contract with the Hurricanes, we had long discussions to try and find common ground. It's been a strange summer for Necas, who has spent a lot of time on the phone with his agent and training to be ready for the season no matter where he's going to play. He denies having refused a trade that would have sent him to the Buffalo Sabres, contrary to what has been circulating. Actually, I wasn't even told about Buffalo, so all those rumors you see on the news are unfounded, Necas said. And we did make a video about this after the rumors came out. Once Necas re-signed with the Carolina Hurricanes, it was a pretty big talking point that apparently Necas did reject a trade to the Buffalo Sabres. We did make the video about that once the contract was signed, but now, learning from Necas himself, where he says, yeah, I wasn't even told about a trade to the Buffalo Sabres, it really starts to get you thinking about some of these rumors, right? I mean, look, is that hypocritical of me to say because I'm kind of the guy that always talks about rumors here on YouTube? Yeah, kinda, but still. It's a little different when it's like, yeah, the player himself is addressing it, and he's even talking about Montreal in the same interview. Speaking of the rest of the interview, though, there's a lot more meat on the bone here if you are a Carolina Hurricanes fan, so I would highly recommend you go out there and read this one yourself, because a lot of the conversations that Necas has goes over just expectations. He talks about Jesperi Kotkaniemi, so if you're a Canadiens fan and you want to see what Necas thinks about that, it's all in the video, or not the video, the article as well. Link is in the description if you wanted to go ahead and read the rest of this yourself, but honestly, I wanted to mostly focus on Necas' thoughts about the Montreal trade. Him pretty much saying that he thinks that the Canadiens were involved in a trade conversation, and him pretty much waxing poetic about what it's like to play in Montreal in general. Very strange interview in my opinion. You don't usually see opposing teams' players going out there and talking about the city that they may or may not have been almost traded to, but either way, this interview exists, and I wanted to make a video about it for the purposes of your YouTube entertainment. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Martin Necas conversation where he speaks out about the idea of a Montreal Canadiens trade. Do you think this is weird? Do you think it's not? Do you think it's just run-of-the-mill, par-for-the-course kind of reporting? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.